Hey guys, it's Hamilton here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Today is What If Naruto Had Paid Release Part 1, and so hope you guys like it, but this is a new video, so the like will be, let's go with 150 likes, and yeah, so without further ado, roll the intro. Naruto was currently in a very secluded training ground. He was on the Hokage Monument, or rather, one of the entrances was on the Hokage Monument. Hiruzen had helped Naruto build it when he had first shown him his Keki Genkai. Hiruzen had explained Naruto's parentage to him and why he had to keep it a secret until he became a Jonin. Hiruzen had called the Keki Genkai paper release, as it revolved around paper. When it was finished, Naruto had painted every inch of the entire space with seals. Hiruzen had given Naruto a book on basic seals, and Naruto had finished the entire book within a week and knew how to do all the seals inside flawlessly. So, he put that to good use and put strengthening seals on the walls of the training ground so that if there was a particularly powerful jutsu, the entire place wouldn't collapse. The training ground was a perfect circle with a 50-yard radius. The walls went up about 30 yards to form a perfectly flat ceiling. The overall shape of the place was a cylinder. There was a curved stone door that led off into the rest of the underground semi-fortress. When building it, Hiruzen and Naruto had added a complete apartment attached to the training ground. Or rather, the training ground was attached to the apartment. Naruto's last apartment had been burned down by a villager who hated him, so Hiruzen had decided to make Naruto an apartment where no one could access it. Naruto had painted mirror seals where the windows would be. The mirror seal was something Naruto had made that allowed a person on one side of the seal to see through the other seal. It worked kind of like a two-way mirror, except the mirrors could be in different locations. Naruto had painted one of the seals on the Hokage Tower, so that whenever he woke up and got out of bed and went into the kitchen, he could see almost as if he was standing inside of the Hokage's office. Like most of his seals, it was invisible, so no one actually bothered him about it, though Hiruzen knew about the seal and where it was. There are multiple entrances around the leaf, and Naruto could go to access the underground complex. The entrances were also invisible space-time seals that teleported the person to the training ground. The seals only allowed access to Naruto, and when in use, an extremely minuscule amount of chakra was dispersed. To the Byakugan, it wasn't noticeable unless someone told you what to look for. The training ground wasn't only for training. Naruto could use it like a nexus that was connected to all of the various locations. He could simply use one entrance and reappear at another entrance without ever showing up in the actual training ground. Naruto used this to great effect, as he had an almost light-speed transportation to basically anywhere in the leaf. He even managed to get one into the Henge compound, and it annoyed them to no end that there was something that they couldn't see that allowed Naruto to get in and out of their compound without them ever knowing about it. Naruto used it frequently to prank them. After all, it was funny seeing the Hyugas show emotion, as they normally didn't. After a few pranks, they started looking for it, and they couldn't find anything. Then the council had called Naruto in and demanded that he tell them how he was doing this. He simply replied, "The answer is a doorway between points that is only visible when opened," and left. Naruto's cryptic message left everyone on the council side of this. Sorry about that. Naruto's cryptic answer left everyone in the council, except for Hiruzen, scratching their heads as to what he meant. Naruto burst into paper and reappeared right behind the training dummy he was practicing on, and stabbed downwards towards the subclavian artery with an Origami Kunai that he had folded his paper into to make. Contrary to what some people might think, the origami knife cut through the dummy rather easily and sprayed the water that was dyed inside. The origami knife was covered in chakra and thus allowed Naruto to do things that normally wouldn't be possible. Naruto used wooden dummies filled with cavities that represented the points in the body that, if struck, were fatal. If Naruto stabbed correctly, he would puncture one of these spots, and the red water would leak out. Naruto practiced for another half an hour before checking the clock. It read 7:30 a.m. Hiruzen had asked Naruto to go to the academy, and Naruto had agreed, even though he was probably the strongest person in the entire academy, including some of the tuning instructors. Hiruzen explained that even though Naruto was very smart and powerful, he didn't have the knowledge that could be gained at the academy. Naruto then left and went and took a shower, and then put on some clothes. He was wearing dark purple shinobi pants with black sandals and taped at the ankles with black bandages. He was also wearing a black turtleneck shirt under a black high-collared sleeveless vest. The vest collar was right underneath his chin, and black fingerless gloves. He had also attached paper to the vest so it looked like he had really long sleeves that covered his hands. The paper took on the feel of cloth, so whenever someone accidentally bumped into him, they wouldn't feel as if they were touching paper. They would only feel cloth. He also attached... The reason for this was that there were explosive seals on the paper. They were disarmed, of course, but Naruto could arm them and set them off in under 3 seconds. And because he controlled the paper, it was a really valuable skill. When he needed to, he could deploy them and blow up the target without getting too close to the person or thing he was trying to blow up. Naruto ate a breakfast sandwich and then checked the clock again. It read 7:55. He grabbed his lunch and walked to the wall before touching it and jumped, as he called it, to the academy. He walked into the class and took a seat at the very back of the class, just as it was starting. The teacher started the lesson, and Naruto quickly tuned him out, seeing as how he already knew most of the stuff. They wouldn't get to the stuff he didn't know until around mid-semester. He put his head in his arms and thought about other things. The Taijutsu's classes would also start at the middle of the year, and even though Naruto already had a Taijutsu style, if he could figure out how to do the normal standard one, he could be able to beat everybody because they used the normal standard Taijutsu, and he could find and exploit holes in it. Until then, it was history and physical training. Naruto, since you seem to be not listening, why don't you explain the concept of chakra to us? Uruka's assistant Mizuki said. He was an avid hater of Naruto and was trying to show up Naruto and show all his faults whenever possible. Chakra in the body is composed of 2 parts, Naruto said. The physical part is in every cell and is increased through training and exercise. The mental part is in the mind and is increased through exercise of the mind. There's a 3rd type of chakra outside the body called sage chakra. It resides everywhere you go, but almost no one can sense or harness it. It is extremely dangerous to do so as well. If you don't know what you're doing when you're working with sage chakra, the penalty is death. There's only one person in the world currently that is known to use it, and that is the Toad Sage Jiraiya. When Naruto finished, everyone was gaping, but Naruto didn't seem to notice and put his head back in his arms and continued thinking about other things. Uruka kept on talking for another hour or so before they went outside for lunch. When they came back in, Uruka led them back outside again to the academy training ground. That was right next to the academy building. It wasn't very large, but it was large enough to offer or hold multiple classes. They reached it just as another class reached the training ground as well. Upon further inspection, Naruto noticed that they were a year older. The instructors decided to have all the people pair up together and have a spar. Sorry about that. Naruto guessed that the instructors were out for him when they paired him against probably the best person besides himself in the entire academy, Neji Hyuga. Hajime, Mizuki called. Neji immediately started trying to talk down Naruto, who openly ignored him and stared directly at Neji's forehead, angering him. Neji suddenly shot forward, having enough of Naruto staring at him, and tried to hit Naruto with palm strikes, but Naruto kept on dancing around them, just by centimeters. Just enough to dodge the strikes, but not enough to expend undue or unnecessary energy. This kept on for about 3 minutes before Neji spoke up. "Stop moving," he growled. "Why would I do that?" Naruto said, giving Neji a really stupid look. further needling Neji. I want to win too, you know. Neji just growled and performed a slashing motion, leaving a 3-inch cut on Naruto. The cut was very shallow, but it still stung somewhat. Naruto looked at the cut for a moment before a piece of paper appeared out of thin air and covered it, leaving no trace that the cut was there in the first place. The cut was still there, but it was covered with paper, and that helped heal it faster, seeing as how the paper could assimilate into Naruto's body. It should be gone in about 10 minutes. Naruto performed a come and get me motion, and Neji ran at him again. The spar continued for another 7 minutes before the instructors could see that Neji was getting tired and slowing down. Naruto, on the other hand, seemed like the fight had just started, and he was starting to strike back at Neji, who was tiring and wasn't fast enough to stop some of Naruto's attacks. "That's enough, it's a tie," Mizuki said, trying to stop the fight before Neji lost. Naruto just nodded and walked back off the field, without even looking back at Neji. When they got back inside, Naruto noticed that all the girls were looking at Sasuke, and Sasuke was looking at him. Great, Naruto thought. They're all fangirls, and Sasuke is looking at me like he has something to prove, that he's better than anybody. Honestly, could that stick up his ass go any farther? The rest of the day, Naruto was pretty much ignored, seeing as how the teachers hated him, and couldn't find anything to fault him about. All except Iruka. Naruto liked him because he didn't hate Naruto, and the teacher would openly ask Naruto questions, and he would answer Naruto's questions of him. So Naruto decided he wouldn't play any pranks in his class. The other teachers could never find out who was playing the pranks in their class, and more often than not, Naruto would simply frame one of the annoying kids in class, like Kiba. Anyway guys, thanks for listening. I will see you next time.